So we have a regularly scheduled press conference today to talk about major steps we're taking to stabilize some of our distressed neighborhoods, but we wanted, in the meantime, to talk about the snowstorm response and more particularly what people should be doing in the days ahead. The storm is done, but it's not as though precautions are no longer necessary. So let me talk about both of those things first. So, yesterday, New Bedford had a total of 9 inches of snow, which is less than what we expected. We lucked out in the sense that the rain didn't turn over to snow until about 10 o'clock, which was about 5 hours later than had been forecast. Just a couple of words about the tail of the tape. 300 tons of salt used, 1,000 gallons of magnesium chloride, which is a terrific melting agent that we've started using a couple of years ago. Our infrastructure and facilities crews did a fabulous job. They worked till about 1, in some cases 2 a.m. They started in the wee hours of the morning on Thursday. They went for about 24 to 25 hours straight, pre-treating the roads, plowing, and then treating the roads yet again. And they did a great job. And it really bears emphasizing that our crews are very skilled at what they do. The system that we have in place is much better than it was 3 years ago when we had all those mega storms. The city has done a really good job in raising the level of its game, and we're grateful for that, and it's really worked out well. The streets are very clear right now. 15 wires down, 16 tree-related issues. We had a total of roughly 1,700 power outages citywide, and we had a number of incidents across the city involving wires, and we reacted very quickly to those by establishing a new practice, which was in effect to embed a firefighter with our folks at DPI, so we could get very clear communication about where down wires may be and address them. So this is something that Chief Gomes, as well as Jamie Pond, our DPI commissioner, established. What we do ordinarily when there's a down wire, especially one that is arcing, is to get a fire truck out there to make sure that nothing happens and to monitor it while the power company, Eversource, is on its way. And so I think that was a really nice adjustment that I think made things safer last night. Overall, it was a very good effort. I don't have figures for you in terms of how much it cost. It probably cost somewhere north of $100,000 just based on our experience, but we don't have the definitive numbers yet. We won't have that immediately. So again, it bears emphasizing a great job done by all here, and our DPI folks were out there going curb to curb. Well, part of my job in these storms is to go out and spot check and really inspect to see how things are going, and I can tell you, just based on now 6 years of experience in this job, it was done very, very well. Every snowstorm is different. The level of preparation is different. There are many variables that play into it, and there was a really good performance yesterday. Great work by all. Brian Obriga, our new emergency management director, the fire and police departments, as I mentioned, the fire department really got out there and was involved not only in monitoring wires down, but also in ensuring that the tree limbs weren't compromising other power lines. And as you saw, and I think in the photo in the Standard Times this morning, the firefighters are actually out there with chainsaws. So I really want to thank the chief and his folks for their hard work. And then the police department really did a terrific job in making sure that our roadways were clear. The parking ban went into effect at midnight. The police were out there not long thereafter, ticketing and towing as we must. We don't take any joy in ticketing and towing cars. The reason why we do it is so that plows can get down the streets freely, push the snow off to the side so that emergency vehicles can get to them, can get to people in need. That's the bottom line. This sometimes can be a life or death matter, and we've seen that play out in previous years. So I want to thank the police department for that, as well as our facilities folks. You can walk up to City Hall and the library today freely because those guys are out shoveling as well and taking care of our facilities, our parking lots, and so forth. So a great team effort by everybody that you see behind me. There are a couple of things that I want to talk about going forward. So this, as I said, every storm is different. What's somewhat different about this one is really two things: just how cold it was leading up to the storm, just how wet the snow is, and how caked on it is to things like the trees we can see right out the window, and then how cold it's going to be for the next couple of days. It's going to be extremely cold. We don't do press conferences in the aftermath of every storm. We do in the aftermath of major storms, but it's particularly, I wanted to take the time to do this today because we're going to have problems in the next couple of days. It's almost inevitable. There's going to be a deep freeze. It's really cold out there now. It's going to drop some almost 20 more degrees. We're predicting temperatures hovering around -7. That's not the wind chill. That's the real temperature, will be the real temperature. So what will that mean? It'll mean that roads, despite the best efforts of all the folks who were out there last night, are going to remain icy. Despite the fact that we're pouring all the best chemical melting agents on the roadways, the roads will still remain frozen because it is just so cold. Those agents, those techniques work only to a point. So if you don't have to drive, please don't go out. If you have to drive, take it very slowly. The reason why we canceled school today was precisely that reason. Even though the roads are clear of snow, they are going to be very icy, as will sidewalks, and we didn't want kids coming to school under those conditions. And to have the ambient temperature as cold as it is. That's why we don't have school today. In addition, what you see out there, again, this is very useful as a marker. I'm looking at the tree, the cherry tree right out in front of City Hall, where that is enveloped in snow. There are trees all over the city, and there are other objects all over the city that are similarly encased. And with the winds dying down but still significant, and with the fact that everything is frozen, we're going to have more tree limbs down. So with that will be more power outages. With power outages, sometimes we lose heat. That's going to be a problem for folks. And so we remain ready with our emergency sheltering over at Keith Middle School, just in case. If you lose power, again, call Eversource. If you if there's a down line that is sparking or arcing, call 911. We want to attend to it. If you lose heat, call a relative, call a friend first. That's the first resort. But if you're not able to find shelter otherwise, call the police department, and the police will make arrangements. And if we have to activate the shelter, we're ready to do that. Secondly, we're going to see water main breaks. So I just found out, where's Manny? Just found out that right on my very own street, there was a water main break just in the last couple of hours. What that means for me personally with 3 teenage daughters is no showers, and so lots of stress on my part. Thank you very much. But it also means that when people lose water, the water supply, that also can mean that you lose heat. If you have as most people do, forced hot water heating in your house. So again, that's going to present a problem, especially when temperatures are as low as they are. Water mains break underground when things get frozen, and as they are now. So we have to be mindful of that. So again, if you lose heat, and we're working, if it's because of a water main break, we're working very hard to deal with that throughout the day and night. But if you need to move, again, if no relatives are in place to take care of you, then call the police. We'll get back up and running, I hope, on Monday. Things are going to warm up. We expect to be back at school then, but we've got to get through a weekend, and that's why I wanted to call this press conference to thank everybody for their hard work, but also to highlight the fact that we've got a significant problem in the next couple of days that we have to deal with. So, with all that, I want to thank the support that our city employees get from our city council, and I wanted to, on behalf of the city council, call up Ward 5 Councilor Scott Lima to say a few words on behalf of the City Council. Scott.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'll be very, very brief. Mayor Mitchell covered everything. But I really want to thank the Commissioner and the Deputy Commissioner of the DPI. They're right behind me, for allowing me to come in and to represent the City Council yesterday. I was at the DPI headquarters for about 13 hours. I got there at 8 a.m. I left at 9 p.m. It's an impressive operation. There's a lot going on. It's just not snow plowing. Again, you find people's water pressure is dropping. The power lines, it was great to have a lieutenant there from the fire department, and those calls came in and the lieutenant got right on it. So again, I really don't have much to say. The mayor covered it all. I'm very happy that I was there to represent the City Council. I plan on doing that again. And great group of folks. And again, for the Commissioner and the Deputy Commissioner, thank you for having me. And you find a very cohesive group that's working there under extremely difficult conditions. And everyone really maintains a cool head, a lot of good communication. So I just again want to thank the police chief, all the emergency responders. It was a great effort, and I look forward to being out there again. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott. And I also want to thank City Councilors Brad Markey and Abreu for their support today. Thanks, guys, for making it and your support of the city's efforts. So with all that, let me just open it up for questions.
You told me yesterday that your plan was to have the city back up and running today. Is that Monday now?
Well, the city government is back up and running. We're obviously, as you can see, City Hall is running, and the city officers are back up and running. The school department administrative officers are back up and running, but the kids aren't back to school. It was just, the superintendent made the determination, one that I support, which is that it was just not safe to allow students back into school. And I think that's probably consistent with most school districts in New England this morning. Most of them did call school off.
And then do you know how many people are still without power and when efforts to fix that will be?
Yeah, I think I'm going to have Brian Nobrega come on up, our emergency management director, to answer that question specifically. But suffice to say, it's gone down a lot. But the problem is, as I highlighted before, the risk that we're going to lose power in a lot of other places in the next couple of days. You want to speak to the numbers?
As the mayor said, the risk is still definitely a problem over the next hour, a couple of hours actually, well into tomorrow morning. As of 6:30 this morning, we had 3 locations without power, one of them being a DPI pump station, which is back online, and we have 2 houses that were without power. We were in contact with Eversource, and we should have them up and running by noontime. And that being said, if another tree comes down, that'll change. But Eversource is put out by noontime. Everything should be up and running.
Yeah, one other group too. In New Bedford, part of the operation is out on the water. We have America's largest commercial fishing port, and in a very busy port otherwise. And when the weather gets like this, there are risks posed to mariners, commercial fishermen, and others. And we had. As I think some of you are aware, we had a situation where 2 fishing vessels broke away from their moorings, and our port security personnel had to go out in the elements and the height of the storm to go out and retrieve the boats. One of the boats clung to the dock, the other one did break away, and they did a really terrific job in securing those vessels.
Are there any streets because of ice or because of down trees or power lines they have specific, a specific problem or the biggest problem in the city at all? Or
any streets that are impassable right now?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No.
What were some of the main things? This might be a question for councilors, but that people kept calling with yesterday, some main issues that maybe we resolved now, but what was kind of happening yesterday?
Yeah, so Chris, you probably know what were the popular calls yesterday?
Well, sometimes folks get upset because they may have just shoveled and a plow goes by, so some snow gets displaced back onto an area they've already shoveled. But our main priority is to clear the streets, so we just ask people to be patient, and they have to go back again and shovel.
That's exactly it. That's a common complaint, but there's only so much a plow driver can do, and they do their very best not to plow in driveways, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
How many more closings at all?
Wait, what?
Any port closings at all because of built-up ice or snow at all, or is the port up and running?
The port's always running. We haven't had, as yet, a major problem with ice like the problem we had 3 years ago, but we're certainly keeping an eye on that. I know Mike Gomes, our fire chief, has been personally out there ice breaking. I think it's one of the funnest aspects of your job, Mike, getting out there breaking up that. He'll be out there. But that is a serious. It can be a serious problem. Was a serious problem 3 years ago, and so we're keeping an eye on that. That's actually a problem that's somewhat aggravated by the fact that we have a hurricane barrier because it's an enclosed waterway. It tends to freeze up more readily than other places. So when we have these long spells of cold temperatures, we have to deal with that. All right, that's it. So we're gonna break right now. We're gonna come back in about 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere. We've got a few other things that we want to talk about today, but I appreciate your attentiveness and getting the word out about the precautions that people should be taking. Thanks, everybody.